This is chapter 23, lesson 4, and it's called percent of a number. And your learning goal today is to be able to find the percent of a number. Okay? Percent is another way of showing part of a whole, right? Just like fractions show a part of a whole, and decimals also show part of a whole, right? If you have 0.5, is that a whole or a part? What if you have 3/4? Is that a part or a whole? Part. What if you have 17/18? Is that a part or a whole? Part. What if you have 0.12345? Is that a part or a whole? Part. Okay, so decimals and fractions all show parts. Percents also show parts. Okay? Because if I have 50% of something, do I have the whole thing or do I just have part of it? Part. What if I have 84% of something? Do I have all of it or just part? What if I have 99.99999% of something? Even if it's a big percent, you don't have the whole thing, right? Would you rather have 99.999% of a delicious chocolate cake, or would you rather have the whole thing? Whole thing. Right, okay. Okay. You can use what you know about multiplying fractions and decimals to find the percent of a number. This is also a really good opportunity to review how to multiply fractions and decimals, right? Because we do have that NWEA test coming up. Okay, so let's think about this. Here's a problem. The Huntington Beach Kite Party is held every February in Huntington Beach, California. There are 20 kites entered in one category. Daniel? If 60% of them are red, how many kites are red in that category? Okay, so here's what you might think, or here's what I thought when I first read this problem. Oh, 60%. That's 60 out of 100. So that must mean 60 kites are red. Hey, Mom?
No, it's not, because the total is 20, and it's 60% out of that 20.
Oh, so if I said 60 kites are red, but there's only a total of 20 kites, does that make sense?
No.
No, so I have to find 60% of 20, don't I? So there's two different ways you can do it. Okay, way number one is you can write the percent as a fraction and multiply. So 60%. How do I write 60% as a fraction? If it's 60 out of 100, Riley? 60%. Yep, exactly. So 60% is 60 over 100. And they can simplify, or we can simplify that to be 3/5, right? Because if I divide it by 20 over 20, what's 60 divided by 20?
3.
And what's 100 divided by 20?
5.
Okay, so is 60 100ths the same as 3/5? Now, if I want to find 3/5 of 20, we know that word of, when you hear of, you should be thinking in your head.
Multiplication.
Multiplication, right? So 60% of 20 is the same as 3/5 of 20. So what should I be doing when I hear that word of? So I can do 3/5, because that's the same thing as 60%, right? 3/5 of, or multiply, right? So 3/5 times 20. Can we do 3/5 times 20? Do we know how to do that?
Yes.
We can change 20 into 20 over 1, and we can do 3 times 20 over 5 times 1. 3 times 20 is?
60.
60. 5 times 1 is?
5.
And so we get 60 over 5. Can we simplify that?
Yes, 12.
Thank you, Heyman. So 12 is 60% of 20. So if 60% of those 20 kites were red, how many kites were red?
12.
12, right? Good. So the first way is to use to turn your percent into a fraction. The second way you can solve a problem like this is you can change the percent into a decimal. So I know that 60% is 60 out of 100. How can I write 60% as a decimal? Kevin? 0.6, because 60% is 60 hundredths. 60 hundredths looks like that. And of course you can take off this final 0, right? So then, same thing. If I'm finding 60% of 20, the of tells you we need to multiply. So at this time, instead of writing it in fraction form, I'm going to write it in decimal form. And then I'm going to multiply it by 20, so 0.6 times 20. What do we know about multiplying decimals? Do I just put this decimal point directly below where it was? How come they put the decimal point there? How come they put that decimal point there in the answer? Aditya?
Because in one of the I'm not well 0.60
Uh-huh.
0.60 number you multiply.
0.60, that's what they multiplied. Okay.
There's two numbers that are after the decimal point. So,
Mm-hmm. Nadia.
you take that number of numbers before and then you
So are there any numbers after the decimal point in the 20? No, right? So then how many numbers total in all of the factors do I have after the decimal point? 2. So that means in my answer and my product, I also need 2. Good. So the answer still remains the same. 12 is 20% of, 60% of 20, right?